My name is Connie Armstrong, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Center for the Book and the Oklahoma Department of Libraries. Joining me today is Tammi Sauer. Tammi is a former school teacher and library media specialist, but now she is an award-winning children's author, having written more than 30 children's picture books. Besides winning awards, her books Chicken Dance, Your Alien, and Nugget and Fang were made into musicals that toured the nation. She won the Oklahoma Book Award for Children in 2010 for Chicken Dance, 2011 for Mostly Monsterly, and 2014 for Nugget and Fang. Tammi is here today to discuss her book, Mary Had a Little Plan, which won the 2023 Oklahoma Book Award. It's also been chosen by the Oklahoma Center for the Book to represent Oklahoma at the 2023 National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. It will be featured in the Great Reads from Great Places program. Tammi, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Good. Give us a brief summary of Mary Had a Little Plan.
Okay, well, while on a walk, Mary is with her dad and she discovers this abandoned lot in her neighborhood. And she gets inspired to change this lot into something that could be really great for the community. So she creates a plan, and with a little help from her community and a lot of help from her friends, she manages to do just that.
What was your inspiration for writing the book? And I guess my first question is, this is not a standalone book, is it? It's a series, correct?
It is not. So my inspiration for writing this book was actually this book. Years ago, I had been challenged to write a book that was based on a familiar nursery rhyme or a song. And I was thinking, like, some options were like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and Mary Had a Little Lamb. And right when I saw the words Mary Had a Little Lamb, in my head popped the words Mary Had a Little Glam. And I was like, oh, that is a great idea for a book. And I'd never written a rhyming picture book before, so I worked really hard to get every line just right in this book. And I created this character that I absolutely love. My favorite thing about Mary is that she's a little kid who does big things. Well, Vanessa Brantley Newton is the illustrator of this book, and she and I were talking that it would be a lot of fun to revisit Mary and her world and create another book about this character. And so I was talking with one of my writing friends and we were brainstorming possible titles. And my friend came up with the idea, Mary Had a Little Plan. And I was like, oh, that is perfect, because of course, this is a kid who would have a plan. And so when I was working on this book, I wanted her to come up with a way that she can share her flair in her community. In this book, she shares her flair in her school. And so I thought it was time to spread that flair a little bit more. So that's where the idea for this book came from.
Very good. Well, you've told us a little bit about Mary, but as a children's author, how do you develop your character, your main character? Do you identify with Mary or any of the main characters that you've written about?
I identify with all of my characters in some way. I think the way that I most identify with Mary is that I like to do what I can to try to make the world around me a better place. And I think I mostly do that through creating stories that kids can enjoy with their families and their classrooms, and even on an individual basis. I grew up on a farm, and so a lot of my books take place on farms. And so I think my childhood has come into a lot of these books, but almost all of my books focus on a theme of being oneself or a theme about friendship, because those are two themes that really resonate with me. And I think those are two themes that are really important to kids as well.
You mentioned the illustrator for this book, and it is beautifully illustrated. Tell us a little bit about how you go about choosing the illustrator for your books.
Well, every book situation is different. Most of the time what happens is, once I've written the best story I can, I will get it sent to my editor. And if an editor says yes, that editor will read the manuscript, and that editor will talk with the art director, and they will try to come up with the best fit art-wise for the book. Most of the time what happens is they will give me 3 people that they think would make a good fit for the text. And they ask me who would be your favorite one. A lot of times though, they say, my editor will come to me and ask me if I have an illustrator wish list. And if my editor and that art director agree with my idea for who might be a good fit for illustrating this book, then they will approach the illustrator to see if that illustrator really connects with the manuscript and has time to do that. Sometimes though, my publishing house, I work with many different publishing houses, and there are a couple of them where what will happen is I will write that story the best way I know how, and I will get it sent out to the publishing house. I'll get that yes. And then usually about a month or two later, I'll get an email saying, so-and-so is going to illustrate this book. We hope you'll love it. And then that's just how it is. So really, it's different. Sometimes I get to choose between three. Sometimes I get to choose, and sometimes I'm just told some good news.
Tell us a little bit about your writing process and how long does it take you to write a children's book?
Oh my goodness. Well, every book is different. Sometimes it takes me a few days. Sometimes it takes me up to a year. It starts though with finding that good idea. And for me, finding a good idea is really hard because I want it to be something fresh, something that's irresistible to editors, something that readers can really connect with. So a lot of people I know can come up with like 312 ideas before breakfast. I am not one of those people, but once I have that good idea, I start brainstorming about the setting and I brainstorm about the character. And one of the things that I do when I'm doing this brainstorming is I'll jot down words that tie in to that character or that setting. And then I'll jot down some wordplay that ties into that character and that setting. And I'll look up idioms that tie into that character and that setting. So I have a pile of resources that I can draw from. I don't use all of it. I don't even use most of it. But it's nice to have a lot of material to draw from as I'm working on the story. Now, once I do have that good idea, almost right away, I'll know the beginning. And usually if I know the beginning, I can figure out the end. But the trick for me is figuring out how to fill out that messy middle, because I want my character to start out in one place and grow and change a little bit and end up a little bit in a different place. Once I have that first draft done, that's very exciting for me. I think the fun part starts then. That's when I revise, and I don't just, because I never get it right the first time. I will revise and revise and revise. And after that, I will revise. And a little bit later, I will revise. And then I will make it as good as I possibly can. And once I have a manuscript as good as I can get it on my own, I will share it with some of my critique partners. These are people who are also writers of children's books. And they will look at my story and they will look at it with fresh eyes. And they will be able to come up with ways for me to maybe improve it. I mean, a lot of their suggestions, I think, oh, perfect. That's such a great idea. Sometimes the suggestions don't resonate with me, and that's fine. I don't have to take all of those suggestions, but getting feedback really helps me to make a good thing even stronger. Once I revise some more, I will send it to my agent. Sometimes my agent is just like, oh, this is great. Let's get it out there. And she'll send it out to editors. Sometimes my agent will also have some feedback, so I'll revise some more. My job is to make a story as good as I possibly can because I want it to be irresistible to editors and later to children. And that is my basic writing process.
Well, what do you most enjoy about writing children's books?
I love knowing when a book that I've written has really connected with a kid or with a family. I get lots of letters from kids. I get lots of letters from grownups, from the moms, the dads. I get grownups or letters from teachers and librarians and grandparents saying how much joy they've had together with these kids and my books. And that is very satisfying. With Mary in particular, Mary is a very stylish character. And a lot of times I will get pictures of kids dressed up like Mary, because a lot of schools have this, like, instead of like for Halloween where they dress up, they might have like a storybook character day. I probably have like pictures of 50 different kids who dressed up like Mary. And that is so satisfying because I love that my creativity has spurred some creativity of their own as well.
Very cool. So when you're writing and you're in that writer's mode, do you have a particular space that you like to seclude yourself in, or do you have any habits that you adhere to when you write?
Well, the nice thing about writing is you can do it anywhere and at any time. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, and I never go right back to sleep. I'm too excited and I'll start working on my story. Sometimes I'll work right. My phone's always there. So I always can have my phone if I needed to jot down some ideas. But I do like to have a couple of things when I'm writing. I like to have it be quiet. I don't like listening to music when I write. A lot of my friends do, but I like it quiet when I'm writing so that I can really get in that zone. And I always love having, I even have it right here beside me. I always have a 32-ounce cup of iced tea next to me. So those are always my standards, would be the quiet and my tea.
For anyone aspiring to be a writer, and in particular a children's author, what advice would you give them?
The top three things would be to read, write, and revise. And when I say read, don't just read for fun. Of course, read for fun, but analyze the books that you're reading. Try to figure out, what did you like about that book? What did you not like about that book? And take notes. Take notes, because the best way to get good at writing picture books is by studying other picture books. Early in my career, I came across this quote that was in something that I had seen online. And it is the best piece of advice that I can ever give an aspiring children's book writer. And so I actually have it right here on my piece of paper because I didn't want to mess up any of the words. It's by an author. Her name is Lynn E. Hazen. And this is what she said when she was asked what considerations she keeps in mind when working on a picture book. It's brilliant. She said, "My main considerations for any picture book are humor, emotion, just the right details, read aloud ability, pacing, page turns, and of course, plot. Something has to happen to your characters that young readers will care about and relate to. Oh, and you have to accomplish all that in as few words as possible while creating plenty of illustration possibilities. No easy task." And all of that, every time I'm working on a picture book, I make sure that I'm addressing every single one of those things, because I find those things important in any picture book that I like to read as well.
Very good. Well, you're a former library media specialist, so tell us the role the public or school library had on you as a child and even now as an adult.
Oh my God. I'm actually, after I get off this interview, I'm going to the Edmond Public Library because I have a bunch of books on hold. The library is one of my favorite places. I told you earlier that I get inspired by writing books, sometimes by being in a library. When I was a kid, I loved going to this neighboring town, which was 10 minutes away. And it was just a huge library, just filled with books for everybody. And it was just amazing. My school, I graduated with a class of 30, so our library was not very big, but it was very, very special. And I've done school visits in my elementary school. I've since gone back. And anytime I walk into that library, I get that little excited feeling that I had when I was a kid. I think one of my main reasons that I love libraries is that every single book can take a reader on a new adventure.
That's so true. Well, you write a lot of books, but what book are you currently reading for yourself or your own pleasure?
Okay, I have my latest reads right here. So my latest picture book read is called You Go First. It's by Ariel Bernstein and illustrated by Mark Rosenthal. And I love it because it has a lot of heart and it has a lot of humor. Those are my favorite kinds of elements in a picture book. And I'm also reading a middle grade novel. I mean, I'm 50, but I also like to read middle grade novels. This one is by one of my writer friends. His name is Jarrett Lerner, and the book is called A Work in Progress. And it basically reminds us that each one of us is always a work in progress. And this one will really touch readers' hearts too. So I highly recommend both of those books.
Are you currently working on any new book projects?
Oh my goodness, I'm always working on something new. One of the new books that will be coming out, I think in early 2025. So you have to be really patient with this job. Nothing ever happens like that. There's going to be a third Mary book. And that book is called Mary Had a Little Jam. And it's the jam like music because
cool.
I thought it'd be fun for Mary to create some music in our neighborhood as well. And I have a couple of other books that are also under contract. And I'm always working on something brand new and hoping that my editor will say, yes, I want it. I must publish it. So yeah, so always working on something.
For people who want more information about you or your books, or perhaps have you at their school library or local library, how can they follow you or get in touch with you?
The best way to find out about me is to go to my website. It's tammisauer.com. And it also has my contact information that if you would like me to come speak at your school or your public library, it gives you my email address so that you can go ahead and reach out. I'm on Twitter and my handle is Sauer Tammi. And on Instagram, you can find me at Tammi Sauer. So there you go. So those are the three key ways to get a hold of me.
Tammi, thank you so much for joining us today. The title of the book is Mary Had a Little Plan, the 2023 Oklahoma Book Award winner for children. It will also be featured again at the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. this coming August. Again, Tammi, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me and thanks for chatting with me about books. It's my favorite thing to talk about.